in Oklahoma. My lock of the week. The Ole Miss Rebels come through and are able to go into Norman and come away with the victory. Brother, I know I've been labeled an Oklahoma hater. Am I one now? Or is it just the truth? But regardless of that, Ole Miss is able to hold on. Your thoughts in the recap?
Yeah, I'm real pissed off, man. No. This is such BS. Dude, this was the most – I'm done doing this. I'm so serious. Letting myself – I do this every – there's one fan base that bullies me into thinking that I was being negative on them. This Oklahoma team is ass. It's ass. You have a overrated coaching staff, an overrated defense, all of these things. Blake, I'm not pulling punches. The most embarrassing performance by that Oklahoma team at home. It was the best offense that you faced, and you got put into a locker. You got outcoached. Pete Golding outcoached Ben Arbuckle.
Oh, without a doubt.
4 rushing attempts at halftime for Blaylock. They didn't run the ball until the second half, and then they didn't get back to running the ball because they had a couple of big plays, and they thought that was enough. Mateer clearly is not accurate at the current moment. He has gone backward, whether it's the thumb injury or it's other outside factors, which, from what I understand, the NFL has cooled on him because they also don't think his decision-making has been great recently as well.
Ho. Did I not say this 4 weeks ago? Before the injury, did I not come out here and say he is a really bad decision maker? Was that conversation not had on this show?
It was something that was visible when he was at Washington State, and I think that we overlooked it because he had a couple of really good games to start the year. I think he's a really gifted athlete.
Some horrible decisions against Michigan.
He is a very good athlete, and he can be a very good quarterback, and I think he's got another year of eligibility, and he needs to go back to school. But the way overhyped for this team that we allowed the national media just to build up and casually throw them in the top 5 of some AP rankings is so annoying. It's just so unbelievably annoying. I think that I'm not saying any of this stuff to take away from Ole Miss's performance, but Blake, it felt like they left a lot of meat on the bone. They left a lot of opportunities.
Ole Miss, that game should not have been that close.
No. I got one more thing I want to add to this. We talk about all these other coaches on the hot seat. I think that if Venables does not stop the bleeding with the games that he has coming up for the rest of the year, his damn name should be on the hot seat as well, which would further make this coaching carousel a complete nutty experience.
I'm going to need Oklahoma to hold off for my own personal reasons. I'm going to need you to do that next year, okay? Just hold off for just a minute.
Okay.
All right. Joe, I think there's a couple of things here that people aren't willing to talk about, and both of them are true. This Ole Miss team with Trinidad Chambliss at quarterback is better than the team that they had a season ago.
Somehow.
I'll tell you how. They play complementary football, and they have a bunch of we dudes instead of me dudes. They have a lot of guys that love football, and they have a really, really good coaching staff. Joe, you will look at the box score. I'm telling you this. Me and you argued this during the preview to some extent. We argue about who Ole Miss is. Joe, in the red zone, this is not going to sound like a lot of yardage, but it is. In the red zone, Ole Miss averaged 7.5 yards per carry. Lacey averaged 2.4 yards per carry in the game. So how does that happen? So glad you asked. Every time that he got the ball outside of the 5 in the red zone, he scored. Both times. This defense, who was allegedly the number one defense in the country, who we debated about this, the best offense that they had seen all year, not named Ole Miss, was Michigan. It was Michigan. Lane Kiffin is the best in-game coach in the country when it comes to offense. And Pete Golding keeps finding ways. Joe, this Ole Miss defense is one of the worst in the country in allowing rushing yards. So you know what you do? You know when you tried to get going if you're Oklahoma? Joe, they had a safety. They ran an outside zone on the 1 yard line. They tried to go east and west, and Prince William and Yellen completely embarrassed your tackle, and you had a safety. A team that did not give up a pass rush. By the way, we talk about like LSU's offensive line being bad. Not even they gave up as many pressures. Not even they were so bad in the run game, worse than Oklahoma was. And they were on the road. This offensive line coming into the season for Oklahoma was a question mark. But looking at Ole Miss, Joe, Trinidad Chambliss made so many massive throws. Everybody looks at Trinidad Chambliss and says, oh, he scrambles around, he runs around. You limited him, and there was a lot of rain and a lot of situations that were going on. And, Joe, every time that they needed a big third down, it wasn't really with his legs. Now, there were some scrambled things that he got. What about the massive throws that he continued to make? No one wants to talk about Trinidad Chambliss as one of the best players in college football. I got to tell you something. Newsflash to everybody around the country. This kid is. So if he's going to sit in the pocket and make throws like that, and you have a coordinator and head coach that can scheme things up, they're one of the more dangerous teams in the country, even with some of the limitations that they have. Are they the most talented? No, but they are one of the most well coached.
He, to me, should be at the top of the Heisman conversation at the current moment. I think that I would take him over, like, statistically, Diego Pavia hasn't done enough for me to buy into him. I would absolutely take Chambliss over him. I feel like I hear way more about Pavia, and I do not hear enough about Chambliss. Right now, on FanDuel, if we're looking at the odds, Chambliss is at plus 3,500. Diego Pavia is at plus 950. I absolutely, and by the way, Marcel Reed played a great game yesterday, but he had multiple turnovers, and he is at plus 500. All I'm saying, if I want to take a pick on a guy that's quite literally propelling his team forward, when he's propelling his team forward, he deserves to be in the conversation. This is the thing that makes Ole Miss really dangerous. And it's really inefficient. The whole game, I felt like I was watching stuffed at the line, 1 yard loss, it's third and long, conversion. Stuffed at the line, 2 yard gain,
first downs.
Conversion.
Sorry. He had 3 first downs running the football on third down.
It's improbable what he's doing. What he's able to do to convert and to set his team up to succeed is not supposed to happen. And this is why I doubted them. My brain told me there's no way that he can keep doing this. And oh, shocker, he's kept doing it. That's why he's a really good player. I had my yelling fit about Oklahoma because I think that it's important juxtaposition for looking at what Ole Miss did with their coaching staff. And I think that is where the biggest separator from last year is as well. It felt like last year they were leaning a lot on the talent, and they had to rely on transfer portal guys that were coming in off of 1 year or less of being with the team. You've now got more homegrown players for the most part. You've got a bunch of guys that are new to the team, but it feels like the coaching staff, they're completely in their bag. That Pete Golding is calling some really solid defenses. They've been inconsistent, but some solid defenses. And Kiffin has been unbelievable. So much so that he makes some of the most detrimental, insane mistakes and risks, and he still finds ways to overcome them by getting big plays later on.
Can I rudely interrupt you and ask you this question?
Yeah.
Is he not become one of the best in-game coaches that we are seeing?
Oh, he is.
Because even in the fourth down, he's like, hey, did you see what he was doing? Hey, on me, it's on me. But I felt like I saw a coach who, with all the documentary thing that happened with him, everything that's going on right now, Joe, he knows he's going to win. He has so much faith in himself that you can't outcoach me. Sorry. He went for it on fourth down and they didn't get it. I thought it was a bad decision.
It was insane.
They only got 3 points out of it.
I know. That's the craziest part about it, is that
he knew they couldn't score. He has so much faith in Pete Golding that he's going to be able to dial things up. They don't care. By the way, Prince William and Yellen, welcome to the show. Holy shit.
He's playing really well. I think that they needed someone like him to emerge for their pass rush, and
that is 1,000%. Even last week, Joe, even against Georgia, I mean, Joe, they did this to LSU, they did this to Georgia, they did this to Oklahoma. Okay, Perkins is starting to find homes now because he's got somebody on the other side that's getting there. What nobody wants to talk about is how well coached Pete Golding, or how well coached his defense is by Pete Golding. They've been doing some. Joe, they walked 9 guys up at the line of scrimmage. The telecast counted it out. 7 of them backed out.
Dude, what are we doing? Completely forced Arbuckle looked like a G5 coach in that game. He looked like an inexperienced, and that's no shade at the G5, but he looked like an inexperienced G5 coach that was in his first season calling plays. Could not have seen a bigger masterclass, larger area of disparity between 2 individuals calling and setting up their playmakers. The fact that they got baited into throwing the ball as much as they did and then having as many incompletions as they did is just lame. It's just lame. Credit to Pete Golding, man. This team's going to continue to stay alive. They're going to continue to keep fighting. Their schedule also is incredibly favorable. I think that they're going to be on the outside looking in, but they'll be one of the 4 or 5 teams of the SEC championship game.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think that they're boxed out in the standings because they lost to Georgia.
Yes, they would. But here's the thing: if I'm them, I don't want to go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, you go to the playoff, and you'll probably be the 8 seed, and you'll get a favorable matchup as an 8 seed.
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't want to go. I want everybody to win out.
They could be the highest seeded non-bye team, which would get them the G5 team. That's the goal, and that's an accomplishable goal.
Which, here comes Memphis. News, you don't really know the South.
I think it's good. I think it's going to be UNLV, by the way. I really think it's going to be UNLV.
UNLV lost.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they lost. They lost. Yeah, they lost. Memphis is the only undefeated G5 team in that concourse. Joe, Oxford and Memphis are really close to one another. Shit's gonna get toxic. Do you hear me? Shit's gonna get toxic. So, look, Joe. Here's the thing. I think Ole Miss is as a lot to go to the playoff as anybody.
I think so too. They're one of these like 4 or 5 teams that have really favorable scheduling.
Well, even if they lose,
right? And their losses aren't like losses that would be total.
They only have one loss. They have 1 loss on the road to Georgia, who might also be a 1-loss team. So you get to a situation like, even if you slip up, are you going to keep out a 10-2 Ole Miss?
It just depends who they lose to. If they lost to Mississippi State, I think it would be a little murky.
As these weeks keep going on, here's a conversation we're going to have. Notre Dame is now battling the SEC because I don't think the Big Ten is going to get a lot of teams with multiple losses.
Well, wait.
Hold on. Can I finish?
Okay.
One of those teams will get left out.
But the problem is, Blake, that if Notre Dame is going up against the SEC and their best loss is by a point to the best team in the SEC at the current moment. So if Texas A&M wins the SEC, they automatically have.
But you also lost to Miami.
But Miami can still, if Miami's a playoff team and Texas A&M's a playoff team, they're going to have a really strong case.
Yeah, and if my uncle didn't have
there's no ifs here. It's going to put some serious pretzels.
No,
a lot of SEC fans in some serious pretzels trying to downplay the Texas A&M loss.
But that was at home, and you do have a second loss. What if Alabama has 2 losses? Are we like that was week 1 when they lost to Florida State? They're going to definitely be in there. They're definitely going to be in that conversation with Notre Dame. But at the same time, when's their second loss? You're going to have to tell me, and who is like if they got to an SEC championship game, we're not having this conversation because you didn't play in one.
No, Notre Dame gets into the playoff over 10-2.
Getting back to, even though you want to pick a fight with me, again, Notre Dame and the SEC are going to battle here. I agree with that premise. We can have those conversations in reference to what we think.
Notre Dame's getting in.
I do think that they probably would. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on. Here's another question. What do you do with Vandy?
Well, it depends if they went, dude, I got to be honest with you. A 10-2 Vandy team should not get in.
No, I didn't say that. Okay, I didn't assume that they're going to lose out. What do you do with Vandy then?
What do you mean?
If you're Notre Dame, which this is going to happen in the SEC, by the way.
Notre Dame will have a better resume than Vanderbilt.
No, they won't. No,
their two best wins. One of their best wins came after the starting quarterback went out for Missouri.
It doesn't matter. Their
other best win went against the South Carolina team without Lenore Sellers. Their other best win against a team in LSU that's just about to fire their head coach. So what's the best win that they've had? I have a take on Vanderbilt, by the way. Could we get to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Do you want to lead us into the segment so I can?
Okay.